Without further ado, we just gonna go ahead and jump right into this video.
This video right here is about no soul, people not having souls. Now, there's two aspects to this. Some people are actually non-humanoids or melanated light beings, and they don't exist past this dimension, so they don't come to this dimension or realm with a soul. So, for example, Caucasians, 85% of Caucasians are born with calcified pineal glands. The pineal gland is an organ which allows the head of the soul to take a seat in the vehicle, which is the body. By them not having by them having calcified pineal glands, their bodies cannot inhabit a soul. So that is one aspect of a person not having a soul, or an entity not having a vehicle that inhabit a soul. So they just walk around like zombies on the physical realm. But the aspect I'm using is how people, specifically melanated beings, can come into existence with a soul and end up without one. Now the point is, the point I'm about to make here is environment. The definition of an environment is the circumstances which influence a living organism. Now, before I go on, I have to give you a perspective. We understand that we are not these bodies. We are the souls that inhabit these bodies. So you have to stop looking at the construct as you're a body with a soul. No, you're a soul with a body. So with that being said, you are the controller of the physical realm. Now what happens is, when the physical realm becomes overwhelming with negative phenomena, the soul can no longer want to take place in that experience and eject. Now, an example I'm going to give you of this is, you have people who go through such life traumatic situations that they actually disconnect from themselves. Now, before I break that down, I'm going to give you the connection. The emotional body is the middle. It's the medium. So the emotional body connects your physical body to your spiritual body. So now when you look at most people who do sick, twisted things, they all have one thing in common. They don't give a fuck. They don't care. They don't have an emotional body. Why? Because their soul is disconnected. So they can't feel nothing. So now, before I go on to my point, the Caucasian teaches you that through his patrilineal system, or his over-masculated egotistical system, that men don't be emotional. Men don't cry. Don't hold your girl hand in public. Don't do anything that will invoke love and emotion. Why? Because that keeps the spirit out the body. Because if you're not emotionally present and you don't know that the emotion is like a meter to let you know that your soul is here, then you won't know. You won't never try to get yourself present in this realm because you've been disconnected. Now, I'm not saying go outside and act like a female or be homosexual. It's everything that's balanced. But what I'm saying is, there is a certain level of emotional stability that everybody should pertain, because that lets you know how present you are here in this body. Now, going back to my point, let's say a little girl or a little boy has been molested or touched when they was kids or their whole life. We all grew up in hellish households. Now, with that being said, you can go through something so traumatizing that you blank out. That you do what we call blank out. Your soul disconnect. It doesn't want to be here. So you physically going through the motions, but spiritually, you gone. Because it's just like an airplane that's finna crash. Well, just like when you know that a bad experience is coming, you hit eject. And you let the plane go through its phase. Same thing with the body. The soul, if the soul is put into a negative experience that it's not strong enough to handle, and your mind of the individual is not strong enough to handle, the soul will eject and disconnect itself. And now the lowest part of the mind, which is the physical realm, or the physical existence, that will be the only thing left to go through the experience. This is why you have people, this is the point of when they say somebody's mentally dead. You're not really mentally dead. It's just your soul is not present. You're not conscious. It's like when people walk up the street and they be on the phone. They're so focused in the phone, they're not conscious. They're not present. And you walk right into something and you be like, damn, I didn't even see that, and it was right there. Because your body's on autopilot. But all your consciousness is focused somewhere else. This is the same thing with a traumatic experience. Your consciousness goes somewhere else. And now your body, and you just going through life on autopilot. So now coming back to my point. The way people come through the world with no souls is, end up with no souls, melanated beings, is we go through the most traumatic mental, physical, and emotional and spiritual abuse than anybody else on the planet. And some of us are not strong enough to withstand this abuse because we shouldn't be going through it anyway. So what happens is we disconnect from ourselves, and then we grow up what people will call heartless. And then you end up with little 13, 14-year-old, 15-year-old boys out here killing people in cold blood, or little girls out here having sex with everybody and don't care about themselves and call themselves bad bitch because they became heartless because their soul is not present anymore. So since the soul is not there, the emotional body is not connecting, because the emotional body is just gravitation on a metaphysical scale to let you know what you're experiencing, because you're the soul. So it's like, kind of think of like the Iron Man suit. Your body is the Iron Man suit. So like if somebody does something to you, the soul processes that through, let's say if I tell you shut up, that wasn't right. So now the soul knows, okay, anger. Or if I tell you I love you, now the soul is feeling that. The soul experiences that through the physical realm through love. So the emotions are just like signals to let the soul know what it is experiencing at that current time in the physical body. So now when you go through something so traumatic, your soul might say, I don't want to experience that. So it disconnects, it ejects. And now it leaves the lowest level of its own consciousness here to experience that. And what most of us don't understand by not knowing the science is we forget to come back in the damn body. So now you got 30, 40, 50, 60-year-old people who have been disconnected from themselves since they was 15, 16 because their stepfather molested them, or they got beat up and something happened to them, or something happened to them so traumatic, or you got little girls who I've seen personally, you grow up in a house, they 10, 12, 11, mom telling them bitch this, bitch that, you calling your own daughter a bitch, and you putting them through hell, you kicking them out, son, you kick your son out, feed him to the wolves, and you put your child through so much trauma, or don't care, or you got people who just live in a household that's so hellish that they disconnect. And now they 20, 30, 40, and they never actually reconnected with themselves. And now they lost. When we look at the black community, most people are so lost because it is in our very households that is stimulating such evil that is causing us to disconnect. And then we go out into the world already not present just from a household that we grew up in. So the Bible ain't going to teach you this. It's not going to save you. Doctrines are not going to save you. You have to understand who you are in order to save yourself. You have to be able to look on a situation and say, damn, that's what happened to me. And that's why I really don't give a fuck about nothing. When you look at kids, most black teenagers, they don't want to go to school. They don't want to do nothing but sit around and smoke weed all day. They fucking like rabbits. And they don't care about nothing. You can't tell them nothing. They don't want to hear it. Why? Because it's not what you telling them they don't care about. It's they have been through so much traumatic shit, physically, mentally, and emotionally, that nobody else has cared about or even sat down to think about, that they have disconnected from this realm. So now you're talking to them and you breaking your neck to get them the vision and see what they need to do, and you just like, I don't understand why my son don't get it. I don't understand why my daughter don't get it. They don't see they going down the wrong path because they're not even present. They don't even care. Their soul is so gone that they become what you call hard-hearted. They don't give a fuck about nothing. Why? Because they don't even realize they're not even conscious in their bodies because of the environment you put them in or you allowed them to experience. So now the point is, an environment, once again, is the circumstances which influence a living organism. The body, the woman who is God, is a portal. The womb of the woman is just a portal for the soul to come into the physical existence of this realm. So now what we have to do is we have to set up environments that cater to melanated beings so that the soul will want to be present. For example, when you watch my videos, you don't feel like, oh my God, I don't want to watch this, or why y'all making me watch that. You can't wait till you get some information because you want to be here, because this is for the soul. This is for you. So the point I'm trying to make is when you go to school, most people like me, I go to sleep in class, I don't care. I don't pay attention. It's boring because you don't want to be there because it's not for your soul. It's teaching you lies, and subconsciously you know this. So the point I'm trying to make is when something is conducive and constructive for the soul wants to be present. Now, as a melanated being, the Caucasian colonizing all around the planet has made the world unpositive to you. White supremacy teaches that you're inferior. Education, Western civilization teaches that you're inferior. The food that you eat makes you out of shape, and it makes you physically not attracted to yourself. TV is white people everywhere. White people win all the awards. They just so beautiful. They everything. It has made, the Caucasian has created a fictitious mental paradigm that to be a black person in this world is inferior on emotional, mental, physical, and spiritual levels. So now some people are not strong enough to handle that, and they don't want to be present. They disconnect from the world. Some people are scared of peace.